I never wanted to believe in ghosts, even after everything we've seen, everything we've documented. I've always believed there was an explanation. Faulty wiring, drafts inside old buildings, contaminated audio, human psychology, expectation, shaping, perception. There's almost always an explanation. But there is something I have never told the team, something I tried very hard to ignore. Because once you admit the possibility, once you say it out loud, it changes everything. My grandmother used to tell me stories when I was a kid. She claimed she could feel when someone was no longer alone in a room. She said certain places felt crowded, even when empty. She said the air could grow heavy, like pressure building before a storm. I never believed her. I told myself it was folklore, family myth, the kind of story people repeat until they confuse memory with truth. But my grandmother was not a dramatic woman. She never called herself a psychic, never called herself a medium. She preferred one word: sensitive. She used to say some people notice things others never do, not because they want to, not because they are special, but because, for reasons she could never explain, some people are more open to what lingers. She told me she did not notice anything unusual until her late 20s, maybe her early 30s. At first, it was subtle, an unexplained discomfort in certain rooms, the unmistakable feeling that someone was standing behind her when no one was there, a strange pull toward certain places, certain objects, certain names. I dismissed all of it. Then, recently, something changed. And now I can no longer dismiss it as coincidence, because I'm beginning to feel it too. You're watching the Continuum Project on the Mystery Channel. We investigate mysteries that exist on the edge of explanation. Cases where evidence refuses to behave the way it should. Encounters that challenge what we think we understand about reality. Some stories can be explained. Others refuse to stay buried. 3 weeks ago, our team received an email from a cemetery caretaker named Daniel Whitaker. Daniel oversaw a historic cemetery on the edge of a small rural town, a quiet place dating back to the late 1800s. According to him, the cemetery had recently become the subject of local rumors. Visitors claimed they heard footsteps following them between the headstones. Some reported seeing figures at dusk. Others said their phones drained rapidly in certain sections of the property, or that recorded audio picked up sounds no one remembered hearing. Daniel did not contact us because he believed any of it. He contacted us because he wanted it disproven. He believed the rumors were disrespectful to the families buried there. He wanted a documented investigation that would show clearly and publicly that nothing unusual was happening on the grounds. No haunting, no spirits, no mystery, just old stories and people too willing to believe them. We accepted the invitation, because cases like that usually end one of two ways. Either the claims fall apart immediately, or they don't. On the drive there, I kept thinking about my grandmother. Her name was Elena Reyes, my father's mother. Hispanic, deeply intuitive, practical in every other part of life. She had no interest in impressing people. She simply believed that certain places held on to things. My father never liked talking about it. My mother, who was half Hispanic and half German, treated it more like an old family oddity than anything serious. And me? I spent most of my life trying to be the rational one, the technical one, the one with the equipment and the data and the explanations. That role fit me just fine. But over the past year, there had been moments I couldn't fully explain. At an abandoned textile factory, I turned suddenly during filming as if someone had spoken behind me. I didn't remember doing it until we reviewed the footage. In another investigation, I correctly guessed where an unexplained sound would occur before any of our sensors registered it. Small things, easy to rationalize, but patterns become harder to ignore. My grandmother used to say that was how it starts, quietly, so quietly you can pretend it isn't happening. The cemetery sat beyond a stand of trees just outside town. It was larger than I expected. Rows of weathered headstones stretched over gently sloping ground, the oldest clustered near the back property line. Daniel Whitaker met us near the front gate. He was calm, professional, slightly amused by the whole thing. He had worked there for nearly 15 years and, according to him, had never seen anything he would describe as supernatural. He walked us through the grounds and pointed out the sections most often mentioned in reports. Section C, Section F, and an older area near the back where many of the graves dated from 1902 to 1911. As we followed him between the stones, I noticed something I could not explain. Not fear, not dread. Awareness. A strange, persistent feeling that the environment itself had shifted. As if we had entered a place that was quiet, in the wrong way. Quiet not because nothing was there, but because something was. I told myself it was suggestion. Still, the feeling remained. We began with a baseline sweep of the property. Temperature readings, electromagnetic measurements, signal checks, audio sampling. Those first steps matter. Before assuming anything unusual, we have to establish what normal looks like. At first, everything looked ordinary, predictable, stable, exactly what we expected. Then Sam picked up something in one of the directional microphones, a faint clicking sound, barely audible, intermittent, easy to mistake for interference. He adjusted the microphone sensitivity. The clicking remained. He replaced the cable. It remained. The clicking continued, soft, rhythmic, almost deliberate. Leo suggested insects, small animals, temperature expansion in old stone, all reasonable explanations. We logged it and kept moving. At that point, nothing seemed extraordinary. But while Sam replayed the sound, I became aware of a sudden, distinct impression. Not a voice, not even a thought exactly, more like a certainty that we were standing in the wrong place, that the source of the anomaly was nearby, but not where we were focusing our attention. I didn't say anything. Feelings are not evidence. I simply moved one of the handheld sensors about 15 feet closer to a cluster of older graves. The clicking stopped immediately. No gradual fade, no final burst. Just gone. Sam looked up from his monitor. The signal had stabilized completely. But a few minutes later, we started noticing other inconsistencies, not failures, not dramatic malfunctions, just subtle irregularities. Camera batteries draining slightly faster in one section, wireless signal dipping for a moment and returning. Temperature readings fluctuating within a narrow but noticeable range. I looked at the monitor. One audio spike caught my eye. It occurred at exactly 14 hertz. Right at the edge of human infrasound perception, the ghost frequency, where the body begins to feel a sense of dread before the ears can even hear a sound. None of it by itself meant much. Together, it formed a pattern. The irregularities clustered around the oldest graves, especially those dated between 1902 and 1911. We asked Daniel whether anything notable had happened in that section. He paused before answering. It was brief, but enough to notice. Then he explained that the area had been renovated more than once because of settling soil. Older burial methods often caused ground movement over time. Reasonable explanation. But while he was speaking, I noticed his posture shift, small hesitation between sentences. He still sounded confident. He just didn't sound completely comfortable. And by then, neither did I. The longer we stayed near the older graves, the stronger the sensation became. My grandmother once described it as walking into a room where someone had just stood up from a chair. You don't see them, you don't hear them, but somehow, you know the room is not truly empty. I used to think that was poetry. Now I wasn't so sure. By sunset, the atmosphere of the cemetery had changed, not all at once. Gradually, the air cooled, the wind slackened, ambient sound thinned out. We switched over to infrared and prepared for the night investigation. Evening often gives us cleaner data, and sometimes clearer problems. At approximately 7:42 p.m., Sam detected an unexpected spike near the 1907 burial cluster. He isolated the waveform and boosted the playback. At first, it sounded like static. Then he filtered out the low frequencies. What remained did not sound like wind, did not sound like insects. It sounded like a whisper, very faint, hard to separate from noise, but structured enough that it didn't feel random. At the exact moment that audio spike occurred, I had turned toward the same section of graves without realizing why. I found myself walking slowly toward the 1907 cluster. But the closer I got, the heavier the air felt. Not colder, heavier, like pressure without weight, presence without form. I stopped in front of a weathered headstone. The death date was still visible, October 1907. Nothing about the grave looked unusual, and yet I hesitated before stepping closer, which made no logical sense at all. Sam placed a portable recorder near the headstone. Leo checked electromagnetic readings. Everything came back normal. Then, when we were preparing to move away, Sam looked down at the recorder and frowned. He had not activated it, but it was already recording. Battery indicator on. Time counter running. None of us remembered pressing the record button. We listened back immediately. Near the end, there was something. A breath. Close to the microphone. Closer than any of us had been standing. We asked Daniel whether he had moved near the recorder. He said no. His voice remained steady, but his certainty was beginning to thin. He listened to the clip himself. He cleared his throat. "It's just a radio bleed through," Daniel said. His voice was higher than before. "It has to be. Interference from the town. That's all." I reviewed the recorder afterward and noticed something else. It had shown a full battery only minutes before. Now, it was down to 73% after almost no use. We replaced the battery and kept going. But internally, I was beginning to ask a question I did not want to ask. What if my grandmother had been telling the truth? By full dark, we had divided the cemetery into 3 observation zones. For a while, nothing happened. At 9:14 p.m., Leo conducted a routine review of the camera feeds. Camera 3, older graves. At first normal. Then Leo stopped, played it again. Between 2 headstones, a darker region of the infrared image appeared to shift. Slowly, not dramatically, but measurably. No movement in the camera, no animal in the shot. Nothing that clearly explained why a shape of darkness had moved from one side of a headstone to the other. At the exact moment that shift occurred, I felt a brief pressure behind my right shoulder, the unmistakable sensation that someone had stepped close enough to be noticed. I didn't say anything, but the timing matched. Tara then found something in the burial records. Several graves in the 1907 section had incomplete documentation. One burial appeared twice in the registry, once in October 1907 and again in March 1908. Daniel attributed it to transcription errors. Possible. Yet when Tara asked whether any grave markers had been moved because of structural instability, Daniel hesitated again. He admitted there had been some old issues. At 9:37 p.m., camera 4 triggered a motion alert. We opened the clip. Near the left edge of the frame, a darker interruption appeared in the infrared field. Not solid, not shaped like a person, more like a region where the image itself had become subtly wrong. Across 6 consecutive frames, it shifted between 2 headstones and then faded. I felt the sensation return, stronger this time. I walked toward the 1907 marker again. When I reached it, the feeling intensified sharply and then eased, as if proximity had changed whatever it was. I placed a handheld recorder at the base of the marker and stepped back. A few minutes later, Sam reviewed the audio. Again, mostly ordinary sound. Then, near the end, another faint exhale. Close to the recorder, close enough to suggest someone standing over it. No one had been there. My grandmother once told me that sensitivity doesn't begin with visions. It begins with recognition, the sense that a place is unfinished, the feeling that something is waiting to be acknowledged. I had mocked that idea for most of my life. Now I was standing in a cemetery, staring at a headstone from 1907 and realizing I did not want to keep mocking anything. Then Daniel made a small admission. He acknowledged that local archives mentioned a dispute over plot ownership in the early 1900s. Two families with similar surnames. He insisted there was no proven connection to the current rumors, but he had not mentioned any of that when we arrived, which meant he had known the story was more complicated than he first admitted. At 10:12 p.m., we began one final observation session. About 9 minutes in, Sam saw it first on the low-angle camera. A narrow vertical region had become darker than the surrounding field, not because an object blocked the light. Then the darker region moved, not sideways, forward, toward the camera, only a few inches, slow, controlled. Then it vanished. At the same moment, I felt it, not vaguely, a presence close enough to register as certainty. For the first time that night, it did not feel like the environment. It felt like someone. I said nothing for several seconds because I was afraid of what saying it out loud would mean. Then Tara asked me if I was all right, and I realized I had stopped breathing. Before leaving, we reviewed the older paper records in Daniel's office. One record indicated a burial in October. Another indicated authorization for relocation of remains in early 1908. But there was no final confirmation that the transfer ever happened. No clear resolution, just an unfinished notation, a dispute without a documented ending. Daniel read the paper in silence. He looked at the floor, his professional mask finally cracking. He didn't try to explain it away this time. As we packed our equipment, I drifted back one last time toward the 1907 marker. The sensation had weakened, but it was still there, faint, lingering. I do not claim we proved the existence of anything supernatural. We documented video irregularities, audio anomalies, battery drain. But uncertainty has weight, and sometimes that weight settles in ways you cannot ignore. I was still trying to decide what I believed when Sam called us over one last time. He had reopened the final handheld recorder file. He had filtered out a low layer of interference we hadn't noticed before, and under the breath, there was a voice, not loud. One word, maybe two. We listened again. Tara looked at me first. Leo said nothing. Daniel took the headphones off slowly and set them on the desk like he no longer wanted to touch them. Because the voice did not say, "Help me." It did not say, "Get out." It said a name. My name. Mark. Just above a whisper. But that was not the part that truly unsettled me. The part that unsettled me was what came after. A second pass through the audio revealed another word, quieter than the first, fragile. Then Sam played it one more time. And all at once, I knew why the sound beneath my own name felt so wrong. Because it was another name. A name no one in that cemetery knew. A name I had not spoken that night. A name I had not told the team before the investigation began. Elena. No one said anything for a long time after that. Daniel finally asked me very carefully whether that name meant something to me. I told him yes. And for the first time since we arrived, Daniel looked genuinely frightened. He didn't offer a theory about radio bleed-through. He just looked away. On the drive back, no one tried to force an explanation. Everyone stayed professional, but the atmosphere in the vehicle had changed, because this was no longer just a haunted cemetery case. Now, whatever had happened there had reached through the investigation and touched something it should not have been able to know. I have spent most of my life trusting skepticism. I still do. Skepticism matters. Evidence matters. But skepticism does not mean pretending an experience never happened simply because you dislike the implications. Something in that cemetery responded. Whether it responded to the grave, the history, or to me, I still cannot say. What I can say is this. My grandmother told me that when sensitivity begins, it rarely announces itself with clarity. It begins at the edges, a feeling, a pattern. A voice too faint to trust. A moment that can still be explained away if you are willing to work hard enough. Until one day, it knows your name. And if that voice truly said what we think it said, then this story did not begin in that cemetery. It began long before we arrived. Maybe long before I was born. You are watching the Continuum Project. If you've ever experienced something difficult to explain, something that felt too specific to dismiss, you are not alone. Some places hold history. Some places hold grief. And some places may be waiting for the right person to finally hear them. If what happened that night was coincidence, future investigations will expose it. But if it wasn't, then what I'm becoming may have already begun. Sometimes the most disturbing discovery is not what follows you home, it's what was already waiting for you there.